Academic Communication at Chulalongkorn University, and the Director of Academic Committee of HCAP. On behalf of Harvard College and Asia Program Chulalongkorn University, it is my pleasure to welcome everyone here to our 2016 HCAP conference. I'm delighted to have you here to participate and share in our conference under the theme Equality, Tolerance, Freedom, the Effect of Culture and Policy in the Globalized World. Thank you all for coming. HCAP is a student-run organization that promotes intellectual and cultural exchange between Harvard University students and partner university students around the world. Through immersion in our host institution activities and interaction with Harvard students, we strive to put a great emphasis on global issues, allowing delegates to develop a more sophisticated understanding of the international and local community, as well as to build a cooperative and dynamic relationship between the future leader of the United States and Thailand. Earlier this January, 8 HCAP members, along with other HCAP partner university students from Dubai, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore, Istanbul, Seoul, and Mumbai, traveled to Harvard University in Boston, Massachusetts, to participate in a similar conference held by Harvard students, and now it is our honor to welcome 12 Harvard students who is sitting here with us to Bangkok. So I hope that all of you will have a wonderful time here. So now, how our Q&A session will work is that, so it is your chance, right, to talk to all of the Harvard students who is sitting here. So you can either raise your hands if you have a question, and then we'll have the staff bring the microphone to you. Or if you're too shy or to speak, you can also write your question on a paper and then give it to our staff as well, and then he will pass it on to me. And then I will ask your question here to the Harvard students. So first, maybe we can let everyone introduce themselves a little bit, so you can know more about all of the Harvard students here. Maybe start from Uju.
Hello, my name is Uju. I'm a junior and I'm studying neurobiology at Harvard. I'm actually from Canada, Calgary, Alberta, and I'm very excited to be here. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Celeste. I'm a junior studying government. I'm from California, and I'm thrilled to be here as well.
Hi, I'm Molly. I'm a senior studying history and literature, and I grew up in New Hampshire, which is like in the Northeast.
Hello, my name is Christian. I'm a junior at Harvard. I'm studying applied math and economics. I am from Salt Lake City, Utah. It's a great place.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a junior studying social studies. And I'm from a city called Portland in Maine, which is also in the Northeast, 2 hours north of Boston.
Hi everyone, my name is Iris. I'm a third-year student studying psychology. I was born and raised in China, but I moved to the States when I was 10 years old. So now I live in Boston.
Hi everyone, I'm Shaun. I'm a second-year student studying English. I'm from Pittsburgh, which is like a city 2 hours west of Washington, D.C., the capital.
Hi everyone, my name is Aurelia. I'm a third-year student studying sociology, and I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Hi, I'm Kylie. I'm a sophomore studying applied mathematics at Harvard. I'm from China and a very small city close to Beijing.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandy. I'm a fourth-year student studying psychology, and I'm from Boston.
Hello, I'm Jessica, a second-year student studying applied math. I'm from Swaziland, which is a small country next to South Africa. Hi, I'm Bonnie. I'm a sophomore studying English, and I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah.
So first, if you start from Iris, can you tell us a little bit about your experience in Bangkok so far? Is this your first time, and where have you been in Bangkok?
Yeah, it is my first time, I think our first time in Bangkok. And yesterday we spent the day at Grand Palace, which was amazing. The weather was really, really hot. In Boston, when the Thai delegates went to Boston, it was January and it was snowing. So I think never snowed in Thailand. So coming here from the cold weather, it was a little cultural shock to be in the humid weather. But it's great to see all the street vendors with fresh fruits and the colorful, what do you call that, elephant dresses. And
like pants, like long pants,
yeah. And Grand Palace was amazing, was blinded with gold. Yeah.
So how about you, Kylie? Did you experience any cultural shock?
Actually not too much because I feel like I had certain expectation of Thailand because I feel like there are so many like different cultures and also I have some like friends at Harvard who are from Thailand, so they were telling me a lot about Thailand and also the schools here and education here. So I feel like it is very exciting experience for me to really come to the country to see if everything is like natural what they told me. So yeah, and I really enjoy this experience so far.
So maybe over here, going to Kristen. So today, all of the Harvard student has a campus tour, right? Can you tell us a little bit, like, where have you visited in our university today, and how do you feel about it?
Sure. I'd love to. So if I were to pick one word to describe my day today, it would be cute. Nah. It means thirsty for those who are not as educated as I am. So we had a great time. We started off, we had a very interesting discussion this morning talking about kind of online privacy, talking about internet security. And then we broke up into groups and we went around campus. So we stopped at the museum, went on the front floor of the museum and looked at some of it was like learning about the history of the school, how it was founded, how it's changed over time, the different faculties. We went and stopped at the house, the traditional Thai house, where there was fans blowing, so that was very nice. We went and stopped at the bookstore. I had a crepe, which was very good. I had ice cream as well, which was also very good. And water, again, very good. So it was fun. I think it's been a great experience for me to interact with more students and learn about how life is at Chula and hear about some things that you guys find very interesting. And yeah, it's a great experience.
Cool. So maybe move on to Aurelia. How was your day today? And did you notice any differences between Harvard University and Chulalongkorn University?
So I also had a wonderful day today, and we've had a lot of fun running around and posing with different statues and buildings and taking lots of pictures. Something that I've noticed as a difference between Harvard and Chula is that, with the climate being so different, you're able to have such a variety of gardens and beautiful landscaping. And Harvard, we have lots of very pretty buildings, and you have many pretty buildings, but we can't really have the same level of greenery. And as somebody who really likes being outside, that was really nice to see. Also, your snacks are fantastic. The crepes were mentioned. Also, we keep going back to the canteen for the tea. And so we're all really wishing that we could just have all of those snacks at Harvard too.
So now we can warm up a little bit. I would like to open the floor for questions from our audience. Okay, start here.
I have a few questions. Just one question, actually. What do you guys find most fascinating in our country so far?
Maybe Molly can answer that?
Yeah, so I guess I study history and literature, so what has been really interesting for me was to learn more about Thailand's histories. Like yesterday when I went to the Grand Palace, it was cool to learn about the religious history and the political history and a little bit more about the geography of the country. And then getting even more of an introduction to the politics through the discussion we had this morning about cybersecurity.
Okay, so maybe Jessica, you can add up on that. What fascinated you most about our country so far?
I'm also a big history fan, so similar to that, I echo Molly and say that I also found the history of the country really fascinating and learning about all the different just hearing people's stories of like how they grew up and what their experiences have been, and like what it's like to actually live in Bangkok versus like what you might like hear from movies and things was fascinating.
So, next questions. Don't be shy, feel free to raise your hand. We're here to talk and have a fun conversation. Anyone? Right here. Can we have the microphone for the gentleman in the front, please?
Hi. Hello. I would like to ask, are there any extracurriculum activities like in Harvard, like clubs that you can join? Like anything? Not like party clubs, but like clubs that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a ton of clubs you can join. I would say there's like 3 or 4 different like types. One are like the sports clubs. There's like varsity for like that's the highest level club, and then intramural for like the lowest level. And we have maybe almost 50 sports, everything from like soccer, basketball, all the way to like there's a Quidditch team that one of my friends is on. Judo. There's some like really interesting ones. Water polo, frisbee, yeah. So there's like athletics. There are pre-professional clubs. A lot of like finance clubs, Harvard student agencies, which allows you to like run a business, like consulting group. You have like cultural clubs, which are like Black Student Union, HCAP, I guess, is sort of a cultural club. And then like different publications is one, literary publications, magazines. Am I forgetting anything? Oh, and theater. Yeah, theater's a big one. And music. Yeah, we have a lot. There's those sort of goes on. There's something for everyone's interest, really.
So if any one of you want to add up anything, just feel free to like poke your friend for the microphone, and then please go grab it and you can add up. So next question, please. Okay, over there.
Okay, hi. First, I have to tell you that I'm a psychology student. So I heard there are 2 psychology students, right? So my question is, what kind of psychology do you study there? What, like, the name of the subject and the details, and when you graduate, what kind of work do you do? Yeah.
So definitely send
Quite complicated.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for your question. So for psychology, there are a number of different branches. Harvard's known for merging sociology, which Aurelia does, and psychology together. Most recently, these 2 branches have split off. And psychology has social psychology, abnormal psychology, cognitive psychology, and you have a huge trend for social cognitive psychology, which is basically neurobiology, which Oju can talk about a little bit.
Which was like, no question to me.
In that sense, I study social psychology. What that basically means is that I study anything that's related to teams, organizational behavior. My lab work was looking at different emails from insurance companies and understanding the network and how annoyed you get at sending emails, how much time you waste. So it's a lot of fun, and being at Harvard, you get to experiment a lot with the classes. So even though I would say I specialize in social psychology, I take classes in abnormal psychology as well.
How about you, Iris?
I am also concentrating in social psychology because I'm very interested in human relationships. And this semester I'm taking a class on emotion. So basically how we generate our emotions, or the components, and how we would misattribute our emotions. There's a very famous study, for example, it's a Scary Bridge. I was talking to Nene about this earlier. So a girl, she was conducting a survey on Scary Bridge, on a cliff, and a guy needs to walk past the bridge. So the girl would stop the guy and say, oh, could you fill out the survey for me? And at the end, the girl would say, here's my number. So the guy would just cross the bridge. And the experimenter, at the end of the experiment, would ask the guy, how likely would you call the girl back? And because it was on the scary bridge, the guy is more likely to call the girl back and rate the liking higher than if it was like a safe environment. So in that case, we could technically say, oh, maybe this guy really likes this girl. Or maybe because he was at a scary environment, that's why his heartbeat is beating very fast, and he misattributed his emotions to his liking for the girl. Well, that's sort of the things we study human relationships for social psychology. And in terms of what we could go as career after graduation, a lot of people go into research. Also, a lot of people go into law school and consulting. So for me, I'm looking more at the business side. And so we have a lot of pre-professional clubs on campus. Because Harvard is liberal arts education, we don't really focus on one profession. For example, medical school or dentist school as undergrads. And psychology is it's very broad. So I can apply the critical thinking that I learned from analyzing human relationships into, let's say, working in consulting or working in finance or entertainment industry. So it's you can go wherever you want to go. But it's not necessarily about the knowledge that you learn, but how you acquire this knowledge, like critical thinking. That's most important.
I'm sure we have some scary bridge in Bangkok.
So it would be a great first date place.
So to make him or her like you more. So now, actually, I'm really curious. Like, how do you choose your major? Do you have to declare it before you apply, or like after your admission? Maybe Bonnie can tell us about that.
Hi. So when you're applying, you do not have to declare. You're supposed to put what major you're most likely to choose. I think 3% of people put undeclared. I'm very indecisive, so I put undeclared. But sophomore year, you pick your major and declare it. So I pick English.
So how is it like on the first and second year? How do you choose your course? Then that you can make your decision that you're going to choose your major. Can Daniel?
Yeah. So you don't formally have a major until I think you declare in November of your third semester. So really, it's 3 semesters before you're officially enrolled in a major. So what that means is, for those 3 semesters, you sort of have the freedom and the opportunity to kind of experiment with different fields, different sort of paths that you might take, and kind of mix and match and decide where you want to go. So, one great way to do that, so something that I'm sure we'll talk about later in the session, is we have something called a general education requirement. So that means that there are sort of 8 fields that we have to take at least one course in during our time at Harvard. So those are very, very broad things like empirical and mathematical reasoning or aesthetic and interpretive understanding. So a good way that I've sort of found and that I've recommended to others when they're thinking about what kind of major they want to study is to take some different general education courses, because you'll have to take them anyway, and that'll give you a good kind of sense of what the different subjects might be like in sort of an environment that is very open to people that have no exposure to those things, because they're designed for someone who has done science their whole college career and it's their last semester and they need to take an English class. So they come to you at that level, which is really good, just sort of for sampling, I found.
Can we have next question, please? Maybe we can have something related to education, academic, or anything as well. Yeah. Okay, and then we go to the gentleman at the back, and then we'll come to the gentleman in the front.
Hi guys. So I'd like to know, what are your hopes and dreams?
Okay, maybe Celeste? No? Who's after this? Who can rescue Celeste?
Wow.
Yeah.
A big question. I don't know. I was talking to some of the liaisons today. We were having some nice conversations about what did it feel like when we found out that we were accepted to Harvard. And I was saying basically that I just feel really lucky to be at Harvard. And I think for me that means eventually
hoping to like pay my education forward. I study government and I'm thinking about applying to law school, but like whatever profession that I do choose, I hope that it somehow benefits other people. Particularly interested in education right now. I'm taking a class about like different discrepancies in the education system in the US. And I'm interested in like how that has affected education in different parts of the nation, particularly like how education is in my hometown and how like it's not that great. Just hoping to, I don't know, make a difference in the world. Those are my dreams.
Maybe we can have one more people on this? Anyone want to volunteer? Kylie?
I'm a sophomore, as I told you guys earlier today, because I'm not quite sure what I want to do in the future, but I've always been very passionate about volunteer work. Since high school, when I came to the States, I always spent lots of time in volunteering. But in college, I feel like that's one of the saddest things that I don't have time to do. Well, I always, like, you can make time to do things, but I just, like, I focus on more other, like, other pre-professional things, and that I don't have much time to do volunteers anymore. So last semester, I remember I was helping out with the service for blind service. Like, there was a marathon for people who were blind, and so I walked into the building and tried to help them to cook dinner for them. So when I walked into the building, I was like, wow, it's a different place. It's not where I went to volunteer in high school anymore, but once I walked into the building, I feel like the same atmosphere got me. Like, I feel like, oh, there are people there who I want to help with, and then I realized that my strongest part in my heart is to try to help people, like volunteer work, non-profit work. So, but I feel like after graduation, if I go to non-profit directly, it will be kind of it's not a good way to spend my education, because after spending 4 years at Harvard, I want to be able to learn more skills before I go to non-profit. So far my plan is to like maybe go to finance to like earn some skills, and then like after building up my skills further, then I can go to United Nations to like do more like volunteer works or to help people in different parts of the world. So that's my dream, I think. Yeah.
So next question over here, please.
Thank you. My name is Advan. I would like to ask, is it difficult to be accepted as a Harvard student? And I think as Harvard student, you should be proud of yourself. And how did you express your pride? Do you did something like maybe Kylie said that she do volunteering for the people around her, or if you guys have something, can you tell me? And then how is the culture, the diversity of culture in Harvard?
Maybe we can start from the first question. So it is, of course, undeniably that Harvard is one of the best universities in the world, and so many people want to get in there, so it must be really difficult for the admission. So maybe you can tell us, like, how do you prepare, and was it difficult to get accepted? How was the admission process? Maybe Uju can tell us about this. And then maybe followed by Sandy. So, and if any one of you want to add up, just feel free.
Okay. How did I prepare? So I didn't like Harvard was never one of my schools that I thought I would get into. I kind of just applied because I thought, why not? And like my mom also applied to me. True story. And I don't know. I kind of just did things in high school that I wanted to do and that I was like passionate about, and I feel like that reflected, I guess, when I talked to my interview and my essay and stuff, and I felt like they could see what I cared about. I think, I don't know. I don't know how you get to Harvard.
Okay, how can you get in?
everyone's story is slightly different. I've heard people talk about how they applied on a whim and they were the only person from their state who got into the school, or the only person from their country who got into their school, into Harvard. Sorry, excuse me. And there's people who knew that they were doing prep school, or they were doing different extracurriculars or sports to do a perfect application to get into Harvard. For my personal story, my goal was always Harvard, and so I kind of made a more strategic approach in trying to get into the school. I went to only public schools, but I went to an exam school, and it was the best public exam school in Boston. Mostly did a lot of extracurriculars about volunteering, involved in volunteering and things that I was passionate about, tried to get into leadership positions, and then, yeah, just took the test and submitted an application and got in. It's hard to get in, that's for sure. And I think every person here brings something different to the table. And I think that's how you get into Harvard. It's not so much the perfect resume, the perfect exam score or whatever. It's what you want to make a difference in Harvard's community, but also in the greater community. What can you provide to Harvard? What can you provide to the world?
So Molly, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience getting into Harvard? Do you have to go through an interview? Do you have to submit an essay? So how was the process?
Okay, yeah, so applying to Harvard, you submit like your resume, talking about your different activities that you've done. You submit like your transcript from high school, which is all the grades that you got. You submit recommendations from at least 2 different teachers that you like approach and ask if they'd be willing to write a good letter for you. You also take an exam, like Sandy said, so we take the SAT and the USCs. And I think for Harvard there was an optional essay that, sorry. So that was a long time ago. But when you're applying to college in the US, many colleges use like this thing called a common application. So you write one essay that will go to all of the universities that you'll apply to. And then for Harvard, you had an optional extra essay. So like I opted to write the extra essay because I thought it would be a bad idea to not do it. And then you submit your application, and then you get an interview. And so you meet with someone who is an alum of Harvard, and they sit down and get to know you a little bit. And then, as far as I know, I think then all people who did interviews get together and then talk about the students in the interview, and then they submit their recommendations as an alumni association. And so then all that is what the admissions officers are then looking at, evaluating, and reading in order to determine whether or not to accept the students.
So how about you, Aurelia? Was Harvard always your first choice? And how did you prepare for the admission process?
So for a little while, Harvard's rival Yale had actually been my first choice, mostly because it was earlier in my high school time, and they have a really cool admissions video in the form of a musical, and I'm really into musical theater. It's a really cool video, but I'm not supposed to say that now. But Harvard ultimately did become my first choice, both because I could be close to my family, but also because from all the people I spoke to there, they said that basically whoever you wanted to be, whatever type of people you wanted to spend time with, whatever type of activities you wanted to do, you could find that and be that at Harvard, and that type of openness really appealed to me. In regards to preparing for Harvard, I actually went to the same school as Sandy, and I followed a similar path, which was that I did a lot of extracurricular activities. I like to be a busy person, so in some ways it was just what I wanted to be doing, but I think at our school it's something that we kind of had in the back of our minds, and as Molly talked about, it's about cultivating good relationships with your teachers so that they can describe their relationship with you well to the admissions committee. But ultimately, I just studied hard and did a lot of activities, and yeah.
So now maybe we can move on to Jessica. Because Jessica, you're from Swaziland, right? So why did you choose to go to study in the US, and why Harvard, and how do you prepare for it? Because of course you come from like a bit more of a different background, so can you tell us more about your experience getting into Harvard?
Okay, I went to an international school, and I really enjoyed the experience, so I thought I wanted to go somewhere outside my country for college, and then I kind of picked randomly from there. I'm sorry, there's no logic. It was very random. And then I didn't really...
So I don't know why
watching the movie The Social Network. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. And like I remember like seeing this movie and it shows these students who are up late at night doing homework and like they're all kind of crazy. Like they're drinking, they're going to parties. Like I don't know, I guess like the displays like this image of Harvard that like seemed totally unrealistic and like now that I'm at Harvard, like I think like for me like the most cognizant part of the school is like you meet people, everyone you meet is a nice and interesting person. Put it this way. Like I think like everyone you meet it's very interesting and like they all have come from very diverse backgrounds and they're all very passionate about different things. So it's a very fun place to be. I think it's also very fast paced because I'm very passionate about some things and like I know like Daniel knows some other things and like I think like everyone like is like a motivated individual. I think like if we don't talk about like culture of the school, I think yeah there is some pressure. Like at times it can be very stressful. It is challenging. The courses that you take at Harvard are not easy. Yeah, there's lots of homework, there's lots of assignments, there's lots of essays, like the tests are difficult. So I think at times I think it can be a very stressful environment. The school I think tries to work very hard to make sure that it is fun for everyone. So there are resources that you can use and I think in a lot of regards like the school does this mentality like they want to throw money at their students, they can have activities and clubs get funding so that things can keep going. Social life, I don't know if I know what this. Shaun's raising his hand. Maybe I'm saying things that are not good. I don't know.
Yeah. Before social life, I would just add on to Christian's like the campus culture. I would say it can be very stressful, but for a lot of students, you can make it as stressful as you want to. There are students who are very committed to academics and take an incredibly difficult course load and commit, and that can be very stressful. At the same time, you can take very easy classes and not take your academics. There's multiple different paths you can take. I think one common thread throughout all students is whatever that you commit to, whether it's academics or athletics or even just socializing and partying, is the students at Harvard throw themselves in on 100%. They really do. At Harvard, people use their minutes very purposefully, whatever that direction is. In terms of social scene, I think there are two main things to think about. One, I think here, I guess the social scene would be more clubs in the city or something. The drinking age in America is 21 or above, and so most of the students can't go out to bars or anything. So most of the parties happen on campus. And two, most of them revolve around extracurricular activities. So oftentimes that's a lot of times you're they're not big open parties. A lot of times they're just based around the clubs that you do, and that's often an added incentive for people to join certain organizations or clubs because in addition to having activities you're interested in, you also have a space to socialize. Make friends.
Next question. Anyone want to ask a question, but you're too shy to speak? Just feel free to write it on paper. Maybe we can go to the girl at the back and then we'll come here.
So I want to know, your class, you are one of the top of the universities of the world, and your classes are mostly about discussion, or it's just normal lectures? Most of your classes, because most of the people say that in Harvard or other top universities, you are have more critical thinking and discussions and things. So how is your classes?
So there are classes of all shapes and sizes at Harvard. It's a little bit, I think, dependent on what you study, whether you spend a greater proportion of your time in sort of larger lectures or in smaller sort of discussion sessions. But I think virtually every student gets plenty of both during their time at Harvard. One thing, which is, I don't know if this exists here or not, for most semester classes, there will be a section, something called a section that sort of branches off from that. So maybe you're in a lecture with 80 other students, which is not very interactive and where you're just listening to a professor speak. But of those 80 students, they might split up into sort of maybe groups of 15 to 20 or even smaller. And they'll meet maybe once a week to sort of talk, to either discuss material or to get help with things. So there's a way that even like very large classes can feel small in some senses. And I think another thing is, I remember like when I was like looking to apply to schools and you were like getting all of this information and sort of weighing your options, one statistic that was thrown at you all the time was like, this school, like 90% of classes are top professors, or like 100% of classes are top professors. And it was painted to be like a really bad thing if you were getting taught by someone other than a professor. But one thing that I'll say about my time at Harvard is a lot of the sort of like teaching fellows, so the sort of graduate students that sort of lead branch sections off of these larger lecture courses, have been some of my best teachers because they're like closest to the ground kind of, they're still early in their academic career, so they're sort of hungrier, they're passionate about what they're doing. And they're also like sort of close to your age, so you're able to sort of relate to them in a way that you can't relate to professors. So I found that even the larger classes, which you might think, you know, at first glance might be more impersonal, less kind of academically engaging, that often proves not to be true.
So how do you like choose your course in the beginning? I've heard something about shopping week, right? Maybe can Celeste tell us about that?
So shopping week is the first week in which classes happen, and during this time you can sit in on any class that you like, and so you basically get to sample the classes before registering for them, and you can see if you like the lecture style, if it's something that you're actually interested in, because a lot of times a class can look really good on paper and when you're like reading the syllabus, but then is not actually that great in person. So it's a good way to make sure that you are going to really enjoy the classes that you take during the semester. It's also I think the system surprises a lot of people. I didn't know that this happened before I went to Harvard, and a lot of my friends register for their classes like months in advance. And we show up and like may not even know what classes we're taking. But it's a really good way to, like I said, make sure that you have a good semester.
Okay, next question. Oh yeah.
And Harvard is very special in terms of the shopping week that we have. A lot of, I would say most American colleges do not have shopping week, which means, let's say, when school starts in September, you have to register all your classes by spring semester. So you have all the summer to prepare your course materials and then start your classes. So Harvard is one of the few colleges in America that has this system. And it's very helpful. It's because we're so privileged to have this system, it's hard for me to imagine registering for a class months in advance and not knowing what the professor is like, what the coursework is like, and then just going into it, not being able to back out.
How about Chula? Like, it would be good to have a shopping week, right? I would also want that.
So the next question's over here, please.
Hi, I would actually love to hear an answer from every one of you, but if time constraints prevents it, then it's all right. What's the biggest lesson that the Harvard experience has given to you?
Okay, you can either put it into a 3-sentence each, so everyone can answer, or a little bit more than that would be okay. Who's sure you can start?
The biggest lesson I've learned is time management. I just don't sleep. I don't think anyone here sleeps.
Did you sleep last night?
Like, took freshman year on it, so just learning to balance all my work.
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is to take time and to talk to the people around you, because it's very easy to get caught up like doing work and all this stuff you have to do, but I feel like some of my best moments have just been talking to like my roommates or one of my friends and just having just a very nice conversation, just vibing pretty much.
I learned how to prioritize, which I'm still terrible at. bad, but not as terrible as they were before. Improvement.
I think I've learned to think critically about my values and what's going on in like my surroundings and the world. And also, I think I've been challenged to speak up when like I have an opinion or I don't agree with something, especially recently with like different activities that I'm involved in. If there was like a disagreement, I think I have come to realize like that it's important to speak up. I don't know. I just think that I've been doing a lot of evaluating about values. That was bad.
I think I learned to, I guess, listen and also try everything, especially things that I think I will hate. The number one thing I thought I was good at in high school was trying new things and keeping a very busy schedule. But when I got to Harvard, all the expectations I had for myself as a freshman didn't exist as a senior. So I thought I was going to be a pre-med student. I thought I was going to hate psychology and it was voodoo. I thought I would hate business. I'm so serious. I totally thought it was voodoo. But now I am a second major. I am very interested in business and I'm doing things that I would never expect if I did not try different things at Harvard.
Yeah, biggest thing I've learned. I don't know. I mean, I definitely think I've changed a lot over the course of my university years, like because of the different challenges that I faced and because of I'm just like growing older. I don't know. I guess I've learned to have a little bit. I've learned to have like more of an open mind, like from having so many peers that come from so many different backgrounds, and learning like the legitimacy of where they're coming from, based on their life experiences. And so I think when I'm thinking about issues now, I'm thinking about them in a more multidimensional way, thinking about how other people that I know would approach the problem.
I think it's a very good question because a lot of people are talking about it, I was thinking about it as well. There are so many lessons I learned, but I think one of the most important lessons I learned was do not compare yourself with others, but compare yourself with the former self. Because Harvard is a very competitive place and people are like, you can get stressed out very easily. Like in freshman year, I see lots of my friends got very stressed out and they had to take a leave and they have to like do something else to change their mentality. And so like it's just a very different environment from high school. Because a lot of students, most of us are like top 1% of the class in high school, but once we got to Harvard, it's like so different. Everyone is top 1% of high school, you know. So I think one thing that kept me like very motivated and also very happy my freshman year was I didn't compare myself with other people because I know there are like my friends, one of them are like champions, world championship in the skate competition, or some of them won the IMO prize, medal prize, and other people like won some debate competition. So like I was like asking myself like what got myself into Harvard. But I feel like one thing that got myself into Harvard was my very calm with myself always. Like I don't get stressed out very easily. Like whenever there are lots of tasks before me, I tend to like, oh, okay, so this is what I want to do first, and that's what I want to do later. So I don't compare myself with other people and say, oh, so he finished this assignment already, I need to hurry up or something. So I feel like that's one of the most important lessons I learned at Harvard, and I think it will be very useful for me to keep that in mind in the future, like wherever I go.
For me, I think that the biggest thing that I've learned is the importance of being your own person. And I think that it's very important for me to realize that once I know what I want, I can go and make that happen. So I remember like in high school, for instance, a lot of times my mother would tell me, have you done your homework yet? Like, have you prepared for the test? Like, get up, you're ready for school, I think like, it's very easy for me in high school, like how my mom would tell me what to do, and like in classes oftentimes I felt like teachers would say like, all right, here's your assignment, like it's a 5-paragraph essay, like first paragraph's this, then this, and then this, and like I feel like it's like oftentimes delineated. But I think in college, I arrived in college and it's very open in what you can do. And at first I didn't really know how to handle that. I didn't realize that in situations like that, you can just do whatever you want. So it's been a big realization for me that, I mean, if I want to talk to my professor, I can go and I can ask them a question. They're going to want to talk to me, but I have to initiate it. And that when I'm writing an essay, like, I have to have my own thesis, my own ideas. And I think more than just like academic setting as well, like also like personally, it's very important for me to remember my own values and the things that I hold important. And then figure out how I can hold these things, still hold them true and still value them in a difficult setting. So I think that Harvard has been a very great experience for me to grow personally, as well as academically. And yes, there is no conclusion to that sentence, but yes. Yeah, being your own person.
So echoing Kylie and Christian a little bit, when you're in high school, I think a lot of us, we were in a lot of different extracurricular activities. Like Kylie mentioned, you might be at the top of your class. And at least for me, there were a lot of extrinsic things that I used to identify myself. Like, oh, I do theater. Oh, I'm in this particular club. Oh, I do really well in these types of classes. And then when you get to Harvard, all of the extracurriculars, because you have so much talent there, it's very intense, like whichever one you want to do. So if you want to sing in a chorus, you're going to be rehearsing a lot and you're going to be producing the most amazing music, but it's going to be your main thing probably. Or if you want to do theater, you really, as was mentioned, kind of throw your whole self into it. So you can't really do as many things as you did before, or you might find that you're going to change. And so for me, I ended up having to figure out, like, who am I once I can't have these things as a way to identify myself anymore. I'm not the one at the top of my class. I'm not the theater girl. Like, what is there? And I think for me, it ultimately came down to identifying myself more with my values and my relationships with other people, and how I approach how I want to keep going through my life, even when the things that make me happy change, how I'm going to keep pursuing that, and just what type of values I'm going to have in my daily life, because the rest of it is transient.
Yeah, I mean, I think my answer also echoes a lot of what's been said already, but I would say that the biggest things I've learned are two things, and they're very much related. The first is that I don't know as much as I thought I did, and the second is that that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, I mean, I can say a similar story, I think, to what others have said. I came from sort of a small town, small high school, very kind of homogenous community, where, I sort of knew people that were all very similar, and I also, I was very successful in my high school career. I did well in my classes. I was in plenty of sort of organizations, like others said, and I think I entered college in a state where I was sort of a little bit intellectually cocky, or at least sort of like, very sort of, very sure of myself in ways that I really should not have been so sure of. And then I think I came to Harvard and had this wonderful experience meeting, so many incredible people from incredible places. And I really learned, like I know a very small fraction of the things that there are to know, and there are people that know different fractions or greater fractions. And I sort of learned, I think, and I'm still in the process of learning this, but I've sort of learned the importance of kind of relishing the unknown and embracing it. I think that's like the mark. I think the mark of like a mature and ultimately a happy person is sort of the degree to which they can be comfortable in circumstances that are unfamiliar and uncomfortable. And I think that Harvard has like gotten me some distance in getting better at those things, which are important.
Yeah, so I think for me there are two. One is definitely Kylie's. Other people's success is not your failure. I think it's just really important to think about. It's like I think we're like in high school. There's like I've oftentimes compared myself to a lot of people, and when you get to college, there's so many people going in so many different directions that like in the beginning, you would hear like, oh, Ben just got a banking job, and I would stressed, oh no. But it's like, wait, like I don't have an English major. I mean, why adding on to that, in order to like see that success and like to actually get what you want to do, you really need to understand the value of hard work. I think people see like Mark Zuckerberg inventing Facebook, or like, you know, 3 presidents come out of Harvard, or like, you know, Natalie Portman wins her Oscar, and they're like, wow, like, they're so glamorous, like, that's so cool, like, I'm gonna do that one day. But what they don't see is, like, the work that it takes to get to that level of success is, like, very, very ugly. Like, they don't see, like, Mark Zuckerberg, like, slaving away in the library and breaking his back with his friends, like, attempting to code this app. Like, you know, you only see, like, him, like, in the newspapers with, like, his $1 billion check. And I think it's very easy just to forget that to be as successful, like regardless of whether you go to Harvard or don't even go to college at all, like to achieve the success that these people have, like you need to put in the work. And I think you can come to Harvard and be like really, obviously people are really smart, but the people who separate themselves in any institution are the ones who are willing to sort of like sit down and really commit themselves to it. And it's like not always pretty, but it's like necessary for success.
Getting inspired. To echo what everyone has said here, the biggest lesson I've learned at Harvard is you are so much more than your problem set, so much more than your GPA, and so much more than that internship offer you have gotten or not gotten. And 5-10 years down the road, I'm not going to remember that one failing midterm grade that I got, but the people and experiences that I've shared with my friends at this place. And because of Harvard, I have gotten a lot of opportunities to travel abroad, including coming to Bangkok with HCAP, and also going to the Philippines, working with street children in Manila. And I learned that the best way to learn is not in school, but to see how other people live. And these opportunities encouraged me to really go out of my comfort zone and make a bold decision. So 3 weeks ago, about 1 month into this semester, I decided to take a year off. Sandy and Kylie are some of my closest friends, and I didn't discuss with them. I didn't discuss the decision with my parents. I just thought, oh, I have this moment of realization. Let me email all my friends that, okay, next week I'll be gone. And text my mom, I'm coming back next Monday. It just happened. So I'm home now, and this year I'll be faced with a lot of uncertainties. It is scary knowing that I'm not one of the people who I have secured like an internship. That's why I'm taking it off. I just wanted to take a break after 15 years of constant school, study, sleep routine. And like I said, the opportunities that Harvard has given me, and also Harvard as an institution, really encouraged me to go out of my comfort zone and discover what's out there. And by seeing how other people live, I've discovered there are many ways to achieve happiness. Not a singular path like working in Wall Street, right? Most of the students, or not most of my friends in my friend circle, they are either going to finance or consulting, or making big money on Wall Street. And it's very easy to be influenced by the internship offer that they have and really lose yourself in what you're passionate about. So I hope to have a productive year and find out what other options do I have and how can I make this world a better place. Yeah. And I come back to school with new perspective. It would be my way of paying respect to this institution that I really value, and also my way of paying respect to my own hard work.
I'm sure you're gonna have a good year, and spending time in Bangkok. So yeah, thank you all for the answer. It's a really inspiring, and I'm sure all of us have learned a lot from your experience. So now, next question. Okay.
Hi guys. I've heard that every Harvard student knows exactly what they wanted to do with their lives. Is that true?
That's why I'm taking a year off.
Anyone want to add something? Sandy?
I'm probably one of the least qualified person to answer this question. But like I mentioned before, I think actually here, there's at least 4 people who have taken a year off. to just kind of explore different things and figure out what they like, and it echoes what everyone is trying to say. I've changed majors at least twice. Definitely didn't know what I wanted to do. There are definitely people who know what they want to do. They're like, they want to be a doctor, they want to be an investment banker, they will sit on that path and keep going. But I really highly encourage everyone to just kind of experiment and try different experiences to make sure that you get to learn about yourself at the most formative times of your years, in college and after college.
Yeah, so yeah, the answer is definitely not, in my experience at least. So earlier, I think when Molly was talking about sort of how you apply to Harvard, she mentioned that Harvard has this optional essay. So you could write about anything you wanted for this essay. And what I chose to write about is why I wanted to study economics at Harvard. And I stepped into one economics class. I've actually, two economics classes throughout my Harvard career, and that's been it. I'm a social studies concentrator now. I spent my first 3 semesters at Harvard taking Arabic class because I thought I was interested in the Middle East. I thought I might want to work there, or at least do work surrounding the Middle East. Arabic got too hard, I lost the passion for it. I'm not doing that. And you know, I think that college, at least for me and a lot of people I know, has been kind of a constant process of sort of self-discovery and rediscovery and sort of revisiting and re-examination of sort of the values and assumptions that you had made about yourself and your future. So here I am now in my 3rd year of college, more than halfway through, and I still don't know what I want ultimately. And yeah, as I was saying earlier, I think one thing that has been really good about my college experience is I've sort of learned to be okay with that, and learned to even sort of enjoy that, and be excited about the fact that I can do many different things.
I completely agree with everything everybody said. I too have changed majors and changed my dream career about 5 times. But something else is that I think this idea of changing your mind and continually exploring what you want to do and pivoting is something that doesn't change for Harvard students after they graduate. You might have alumni come in who are going to talk about their career path. They might be big politicians, they might be just working at like a startup nearby, and you get to talk to them about what it's like to start a company. And they come from everywhere. And you talk to them and you say, oh, how did you get to where you are? Because I really like what you're doing, and I'd love to be you someday, more or less. And then they say, oh, I did this thing, or I went to consulting for like 3 years, and then I opened a bakery. Right, that's actually one of the most famous bakers in Boston. She went to consulting and baking. But that's just an example where pretty much everybody I've spoken to anyways has had the most winding career path ever to get to where they are, and I think they continue changing.
Any more questions?
Before you guys pick your major, is there any classes or course that's considered to be compulsory that you guys must take before picking your majors?
Would you?
So there are no specific required courses that you have to take at Harvard except for expository writing 20. And then it's basically all freshman students have to take this writing class, and it's just to help introduce everyone to writing at a college level, because in a lot of ways it's very different than writing that people used to in high school. So that's the only required thing that everyone has to take. There are some classes that everyone says, like, oh, you can't graduate Harvard without taking, but they're not like required classes. They're just more classes that people think are amazing.
Philosophy, to learn about Confucius and things like that. And for mathematics, empirical reasoning. So for that, empirical and mathematical reasoning, I picked intro to microeconomics because I thought I would be an economics concentrator. Turns out psychology. So that was also my way of figuring out, okay, what do I like and what do I want to major in when I get to my second year. So you fulfill those 8 branches, you put the extra 20, and then your major requirements. So there's a lot of requirement courses for your major. For example, psychology, we have foundational courses we all have to take. One is social psychology, abnormal psychology, and others to give you a foundation. And those are big lecture classes, like 300, 200 people. And then once you get more advanced, like 3rd year, 4th year, you have all these smaller summer classes. One of my classes is on psychology of women, to learn about feminism. Everyone's like feminist, well at least like the professor is. You know, learn about that. The discussion based, 12 people. So that's the right. How did I move to? But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, any more questions or? Okay, over here, please. Or you can just shout. So more like what's your expectation before you come to Thailand, and maybe regarding being able to help in equality, maybe towards like your perception and what you've actually experienced. So maybe Kylie or Jessica.
Before coming here, I just knew about Thailand from talking to my Thai friends and also learning some news on TV. But after got here, I feel like Thailand is such a welcoming country. Like people here like always have smiles on their faces. So yesterday I was reading the booklet and it was saying that Thailand is ranked the 4th friendliest country in the world, I think. Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's definitely true. And I do see people here are very, very welcoming to people from all over the country, all over the world. And it just, maybe because of the weather here and people are so happy every day and like, yeah, because in Boston we're like so cold in the snow and yeah, I don't see some like sunny days sometimes. But also social equality, I feel like Thailand is a very nice country and like it takes that kind of perspective, like that kind of field very, very seriously. Especially towards gender equality, and I remember when the Thai delegates went to Harvard to do the presentation, they talked about the gender-free country in Thailand, as Thailand. So I feel like, oh, this is true, and I heard so many stories from friends, and they were saying that, and I definitely feel like this is a country where people can present themselves very freely and also treat each other very honestly.
I think it's an aspect of equality. I think every country has their flaws. Every society has things that need to work on. Today we had a talk about cybersecurity and privacy. And honestly, I haven't even thought about this issue. We talk about it on campus, but it's not something that I would have pursued on an individual basis. And it made me realize, for one thing, how privileged or how ignorant I am of maybe different policies across the world, the United States. In summary, I think each country does things really well in some aspects and really badly in others. I think walking down the streets, we see things that we don't ever see in the United States, but it makes you consider what we can change in the world and what we can do in the future.
Yeah, just to echo Sandy's thoughts, I think, like in America, we tend to focus a lot on our own problems and sort of like ignore those of other countries. And so like talking to friends and stuff, like when you say Thailand, like a lot of them are like, whoa, like oh, the beaches are so nice, or like, let's go, like, oh yeah, like spring break in Thailand, like great. But even like spending like 2 days here, you come and you're introduced to like this swath of like issues like that people can relate to if they actually knew about them. So I think in coming here and learning about like cybersecurity issues or like LGBT issues or even like income inequality and taking that back to America and like presenting that to other students, then they can say like, oh wow, like, you know, these issues exist, and then they can apply like their knowledge, what they know, to like resolving them.
Thank you for all your answer. Actually, I would like to know, make it more relaxing a bit. So I've heard that there are actually like a couple of things that people need to do or must do before they graduate from Harvard. So maybe some of you can tell us about that. Maybe Iris can tell one, and then Shaun, and then Jessica. Like the first one gets his shoes, like those.
So the first one is a big tradition that happens usually in the fall semester, right before exams. It's called Primal Scream. So what will happen is the night before you start exams, everyone is going to get, you're supposed to do this at least once before you graduate. Lots of people do it multiple times. You're supposed to get very, very drunk because it's October and it's cold. I mean, it's November and it's cold. And then you run around the school naked. You do a lap naked around the school. And everyone does it, and they're drunk and it's fun. And you can wear like crazy hats or crazy shoes if you want to. And it can be a lot of fun, or it can be weird. It is how you make it.
Okay, have you done that before? Or, okay. So, Shaun.
Oh my goodness. Just a disclaimer, you don't actually have to do anything besides like not fail to graduate. Like, that is not a requirement for graduation. These are just like, no one has ever proved, I don't get it. Anyway, I guess, so yeah, there's no set things, but the three, like, this is according to one like very ambitious, possibly insane individual. So I guess the second one, are we going through? Okay, second one would be, they have they have a statue, they have a John Harvard statue in the center of the yard, which is like the main green space on campus, and like the second, once again, ill-advised, like not recommended thing to do, is to like climb on top of the statue, which is like not easy to do already, and then to urinate on the statue's foot. This foot that is like good luck to touch. So in the afternoons you'll see all these tourists like touching the foot. It's really bad. I don't know. I have never seen anyone do it actually. I don't know if anyone does, but that's allegedly what I can have.
Can you explain more about the statue, like who actually on that statue, which is kind of interesting?
Absolutely. Okay, so the John Harvard statue is probably that's it, right in the middle of the yard. It's one of the most photographed statues in the world, other than the Statue of Liberty. I mean, in the United States, rather, the United States. The third most photographed statue in the United States, other than the Statue of Liberty, and if you've ever been to Washington, D.C., the Lincoln Memorial. He's like sits in this chair. And they call it the Statue of Three Lies, because there are three things wrong. One, it says Harvard was founded in 1636. On the bottom of the statue, that's wrong. It was founded in 1638. I don't know why they added 2 years just to make it like sound even more impressive, maybe. And then the second one is that it says like John Harvard founded Harvard. That's actually false. It was founded by a bunch of like early colonial officials. It just sounds better if John Harvard founded Harvard. And the third is that people think that the guy in the statue is John Harvard himself, but that's false. That's actually some random guy with good growth structure. They had no record of all the pictures of John Harvard burned up in a big fire, so they had no idea what he looked like. And they wanted to statue of him. One funny story was so Harvard has 12 houses, and houses are essentially dormitories, and it's where each student is assigned to live. And each dormitory is named after a former president. So President Lowell, they named Lowell House after him. President Mather, they named Mather House after him. So the 11th president, his name was Sherman Hoare, but they didn't want to name the house after him, and he felt really bad. He was like, "Oh no, but that was my promise. You would name the house after me. What are you gonna do?" And they're like, "Listen, we actually need a model for this statue. Sit down." So this is actually Sherman Hoare, or at least his nephew or some family member. They allowed him to be the model for the statue to make up for the fact that he has no house named after him.
Okay. So actually, all of us has a picture with John Harvard, right? When the July student was visiting Harvard, and we actually took a group photo in front of this statue. So I didn't spill anything, so that's okay. So Iris, you're the last one, so you're left with the last thing that Harvard student has to do.
So for P on John Harvard, you said you have never seen food.
I'm not gonna say it.
But people definitely do it, especially 2 a.m. Friday night, Saturday night, very drunk. You see black shadows climbing up. Because freshman year, as a freshman, we live in Harvard Yard, and John Harvard statue is in the middle of Harvard Yard, so you can see the statue throughout your dormitory. So the third thing that you were supposed to, no, you're not supposed to do. Well, the third thing that people say you should do before you graduate is having sex at one of our oldest library at Harvard. It's, I think, the biggest library of the United States in terms of university-wise. Second?
Library of Congress.
Okay. The biggest university library. And my roommate, she works at Weiner Library in the Stacks. So she knew exactly is the best spot to have to perform the activity at what time. And she has encountered a few that was So it does happen, and I also have a few friends who definitely did all 3 dares before they graduated.
They've gotten very strict with, again, these are ill-advised, don't necessarily have to do them. But now, if you go down there with, if any pair of people, ask to borrow a book, together, now, the librarians say no, and they know what's happening. So what happens is, you'll go to the elevator, and then, the librarian will be I'll help you find that book. So now, it's very difficult because these librarians, they carry their rulers and they just linger around and they just make sure. So the last one is pretty bad. Also, the second one is really dangerous too. It was a really odd kid who lived on my floor freshman year, and one day he was like, "I'm gonna go to the statue and do whatever." I'm like, "Okay, do it." So he climbed onto the statue, and I don't know what, but he was climbing, and he gets to the top, and then he slips, and he falls, and it's probably almost 2 meters off the ground, and he just falls, and he breaks his leg, and then he couldn't move. So then he waited there for 5 hours until it was really warm outside, so it was cold. And then the security guard at 4 a.m. is walking through the yard, and you see this poor kid on the ground, and he's they're "Hey, what are you doing? There's a statue." And then he came to our class the next day, and it was really bad. They always are very ill. Sorry, I don't know.
That's really funny.
I also know somebody who broke a limb doing that, but ill-advised, as said before. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think something that's not really part of this trifecta, but that also is a dare that people like to do, and that I think more people do than the other ones, is there's Charles River runs along Harvard campus, and there are bridges that go over the Charles River, and it's probably about a 10-foot drop, maybe 15. How many meters is that? 5 meters from the bridge into the water. And so another thing people like to do is jump off of the John Weeks Bridge into the Charles River.
More experience about it? Okay. So this is looks really nice.
Yeah. And it used to be that the water was really dirty and you weren't supposed to swim in it, but the cities have been making a lot of efforts to clean it up, so now you're not going to get really sick by jumping into the water.
Do not ask us if you have done any of those. We're not going to answer.
That's a secret. Any more questions? Over here, yeah.
I want to know what the biggest harm or the biggest thing on university happened during your study there, and how you cope with that.
Sorry, again, please, just slower, a little bit slower.
What is the biggest thing or the biggest harm you happened on your study there, and how you cope with that? Any situation?
One of the difficult times we encounter at Harvard? Okay. So for me, in high school, like most of us, very type A, academics, #1. And once I got to college, I thought, I would be fine. And in high school, I also had like a mental breakdown right before SAT, which is the equivalent of a college entrance exam. And college applications, very stressful time. Like, very stressed out. But I didn't think that my college mental breakdown would come as soon as first semester, right before the final exam. So I was a freshman before final exam, and I think I was rejected from an organization, from a position. And in high school, I didn't really get any rejection. If I apply, I would probably get it. So it was my first rejection of college. Oh my God. And also accumulation of various things leading up to that point, exams and everything. And I would just start crying. And my roommate was right next to me. And she said, Iris, are you okay? What's going on? Usually I would say, no, I'm fine. And I would go back and wipe my tears and move on. But that night, probably because of the chilly winter Boston night, felt a little lonely and I wanted to talk to someone. So I said, yeah, there's something wrong with me. So we decided to take a walk to one of our science centers. And I opened up to her, telling her how I'm really stressed out and I don't know how I can handle this, balance my social life, my academic life, and how do I face with this rejection and how do I move on. And it was my first time opening up to someone about my vulnerabilities and insecurities at Harvard. And I think a lot of us can resonate that we think other people at Harvard are very put together. I remember going into my introduction of economics class, 400 to 500 people lecture, and I felt so dumb in that 400 to 500 people lecture. It was my first time feeling very stupid. And I thought I was the only one. And after talking to my roommate that night, I was also crying. And she said, Iris, you're not the only one. So basically saying that she felt the same way. And starting from that point, I started to share with more of my friends. And you find out, I am not the only one feeling dumb or out of place. Because, like people said before, in high school you're probably the #1 of your class. And president of your organization. But at Harvard, you might be an average Joe, right? It's out of this big university of smart people. So how do you approach things with very positive mentality? So I was very glad that I had that moment very early on my freshman year. And so if I get not a decent score on my midterm or got rejected from somewhere else, I'm like, that's okay, let me move on. So yeah, but it was one of the toughest moments I faced very early on in my Harvard career that I'm very grateful for.
Is there any more questions? Other questions? Okay, great, please.
In Thailand, most students are very serious about grade and GPA.
So I want to ask about how grade and GPA important for you.
Bonnie, can you comment on that? Do you pay a lot of attention to your grades or GPA or?
Yes, GPA is very important for job opportunities, internship opportunities. But yeah, I don't have a 4.0. It's just a balance of doing really well in your classes, but still having a social life and having fun and being in clubs as well.
I'd like to add to that and say, your grades don't matter that much, honestly. Like, pretty much as long as you're not failing, it's fine. It's really much more important what you're doing outside of class, because that's where a lot of people learn the most important skills that help them like find jobs or meet people who help them like figure out what they want to do and narrow down their network. So grades are, as long as you don't fail, it's fine.
Actually, I would like to go back a little bit because before you were mentioning that like the freshman dorm is right in front of the John Howard statue. So I was actually really curious how students were assigned to stay in different dorms. Was it like in Harry Potter where you just like put a hat on you and then tell you where to go, or how does that work? Maybe from this side, Celeste, Molly, Kristen.
I guess so. So yeah, when you're starting as your first year at Harvard, you fill out a survey that talks about like your habits, like how tidy you are, what kind of music you like. It's very exhaustive, and then Harvard sort of matches you with people that they think you'll make good roommates with. And like I had a really positive experience with that with people that they put me with. I ended up being great friends with like Celeste and Uchu were freshman roommates, but they're still best friends. Like so yeah, and you're just totally assigned like randomly to like one of the houses in Harvard Yard, or one of the dorms in Harvard Yard. And then for upperclassmen years, you sort of submit like the people that you'd like to live with, and then you get randomly assigned to one of 12 houses.
So on that last note about being randomly assigned to the houses, we have one day of the year which actually just happened last week called Housing Day, which is when all of the freshmen who are going to be seniors find out which house they're going to be, sophomores. They receive their housing assignment. It's a big, happy day of celebration on campus where people wake up really early and you go out with the different houses that you live in into Harvard Yard, and everybody's wearing apparel from their houses and is really spirited. And then you receive the letters, which the freshmen are going to get, and you run with other members of your house to the freshman dorms and come storming in, shouting and celebrating so that they know that they're going to live in your house. And it's a really fun day. I don't know. I really like house and student life, and it's one of... Hello? Okay. It's one of the most exciting days on campus, and then afterwards a lot of the houses will have receptions for the freshmen where they come and meet all the members of their future community. I think it's one of the greatest days, I'm biased, but I think it's one of the greatest days of the year where people take a break to just have a good time and celebrate Harvard traditions and culture.
Any more questions? Okay, over here, please. Christian? Take that.
So, right next to it. Up here. So I've thought of this question before, actually, and I think the answer that I think if I had extra time at Harvard, I would want to join a choir, which might be humorous if anyone heard me sing, because I do not have a good singing voice. Yeah, but Harvard I think is well known for, they have several a cappella singing groups. I think a lot of them are really cool. I think the guys that I know, and they were all great guys, and a lot of them are able to tour, they'll travel around the world, go to all these different countries. I don't know if this is a talent that I really have. I would like things talent I could develop, perhaps. I think that's what I want to be involved in. I think maybe something else I think is really cool is that Harvard has lots of very famous people and very important people who come through the campus. So I would want to be in a position where I could be more involved with that. So the Harvard student newspaper, The Crimson, I think if I were to become more involved in The Crimson, I think I'd give me lots of chances to meet people who are presidential candidates or who are Fortune 500 CEOs or who are important dignitaries. The Crimson is the student newspaper. So here there are many people on The Crimson. I was on The Crimson very briefly. Yeah, we have, what, 4 Crimson writers here? So I guess maybe one of them...
Can you raise your hand?
Or not writers necessarily, but like people who are associated with Crimson. Yeah. I think that is very cool. Harvard has the Institute of Politics, which is a center where, I mean, again, like, they have, every semester they host, I don't know how many people they have. They have fellows that come, and so these are people who have careers and established themselves, and are coming to Harvard for this one semester to talk about what they've done in their life and kind of impart some of that wisdom and knowledge on the students. So I think I'd love to get more involved in that, and again, just like finding opportunities to find good role models in life and to learn from them. Yeah, anyone else want to? If you had an extra year, something that you would want to be involved in? Or maybe just like hang out to make friends.
If we had extra time, what we would do? Okay, I think one of the benefits of going to a school like Chula, for example, is there's like opportunities to gain some practical skills, I think. And I feel like even though the liberal arts college environment is nice, you know, it's very academic and there's a lot of like options to choose. But I think it would take a year to like learn. We were just talking about this earlier today, but like take the opportunity to learn like practical skills. Like I would want to learn like how to like that literally like course, yeah. Fix a car, learn how to cook, like 3 different things, do taxes, like things that will like help me function as an adult in the real world, other than like I don't know, other than like math problems and Moby Dick. Yeah, exactly. So I think like common sense, practical living, real world stuff I would learn. Speaking a language, the list is a lot.
Yeah. I'm kind of different. I want to be impractical. I mean, learning how to change a tire, Adam's house has a seminar on that. So you can actually just attend that. Yeah, they have life seminars. Do taxes too, yeah. I'm graduating soon, and my last semester I don't have any requirements I have to do. I finished all my requirements early. And so I'm taking a coding class, an art history class, and an East Asian cinema class. When I first got to Harvard, I thought I had to be really serious and take all these hard classes that I thought I would be interested in. And I think psychology, I learned a lot about different studies. Compared to other colleges, most colleges tend to be the textbook for psychology. But at Harvard, it's a research institution. It encourages you to do experiments, to read actual papers written by experts, and then critique on them. Are they good? Are they bad? What's bad about the experiment? So that's the hard stuff. But I never got to explore as much as I could, I feel like. And I always thought coding, where's Poon? Poon's is a programmer, and I'm in awe of her. Because I always thought that coding was the hardest thing in the world. And I'm taking the introductory coding class, and I love it. So I wish I had one more year to take those classes I did not imagine myself to be really interested in. To Charlie's point though, your life in extracurriculars at Harvard is really salient. It's like one of the most important things on campus. When choosing colleges, I had a really academic institution to choose from, and then there was Harvard. And that's not to say that Harvard is not heavily academically intense. It is. You attend Harvard because you care about education, you care about learning the world, but you also care about being busy and doing extracurriculars. And so I think what you notice from a lot of people here is that we say we get busy, 8 clubs. That's way too many clubs. And so that got cut down to just 1. and my one was Harvard Student Agencies, and that was a student-run business association that's currently worth $5 million, and my company was worth $3 million. Now you have to think about it. Do you really trust a bunch of 18 to 21-year-olds with $5 million to just do whatever? We still do have 3 adults in the organization to make sure that we stay legal. But it just proves that Harvard is really welcoming in terms of academics, in terms of extracurriculars. They want to push you to learn about the world, yes, but they want to push you to think critically, be exposed to different things, get a liberal arts education to think differently, and then get some experience that is related to diversity. You see here that we have a lot of different cultures and different backgrounds. We're all from different states and countries. I think the most important lesson that I think we learned from HCAP is that we have to take the time to just be uncomfortable and get out of our comfort zone to listen to different people and talk about different things that we're just not used to.
Any more questions? I'm gonna count to 3. 1. So maybe go to the lady here and then go back.
Yes. Okay. Since you are Harvard students, do you get any high expectation from people when you say that you're studying Harvard and feel pressure on you because of your high expectations?
Okay, maybe Daniel and Aurelia can help comment on that. Whether you feel like people really put high expectation on you when they know that you're from Harvard.
I would say probably not. Just because I think most of the people, the vast majority of the people that I would ever be speaking to about Harvard are also affiliated with Harvard. But I guess, I don't know, I would never be sitting at a panel like this if I wasn't a Harvard student. That's the reason that you all want to hear from me, if that's even true. I guess, believe it or not, I was a basketball player in high school. So I heard that I was accepted to Harvard during the winter. So my coach, and that's what basketball season was. So my coach would then just call me Harvard. And whenever I messed up a play or forgot what to do, he would sort of direct something and be like, "Oh, Harvard, there you go again." But that's, I don't know, that's not a great example of, I don't know what you're talking about, I guess. But that's the closest.
I think, similar to what Daniel said, I don't necessarily talk about Harvard that much outside of Harvard contexts or job interviews. I think in the employment process, it's definitely helpful. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a pressure that makes me feel like I have more to live up to, but it's just helpful when applying for things. I think most of the pressure related to Harvard is usually self-imposed. So you see people around, and although you know that you shouldn't compare yourself to others, you see that people, even if their passions change a lot, they follow their passions. As you've heard from people here, people have really big ambitions, really big goals. And so I think you start to feel like because you're at Harvard, sometimes you need to be a lot in your career. So I think that maybe sometimes for some people that comes from outside of themselves as well, but at least for me, a lot of the effect of Harvard in regards to expectations is just from myself.
You tourists seem to really agree on that. Because I'm sure, us at Chulalongkorn University students, sometimes we kind of feel that as well. Because, it's one of the best universities in Thailand, even not in the world, but people kind of expect us to be, Berlin or something. It's our Harvard, huh? So, any more questions? Okay, we'll start up there and then we'll come here. Over there, the guy at the back.
Okay, I would like to ask about politics in USA, about your selection, what is up on your selection coming soon, and I want to know about what is your thoughts on Muslims in USA. What's your thought on Muslims in USA?
What was the last question?
What is your thoughts on Muslim? Interesting. Because it's issues about politics in USA, right? So because Donald Trump said that all Muslims hate USA. As your Harvard student, so I want to know your thoughts on Muslim, on your country, about your opinions about that.
Okay.
Cheers.
So first question is about U.S. election, right? So maybe some of you can talk about how is the election system in U.S. work briefly, and what. no pleasure. No. So because I think the thing that is you have two main party, right? And now I think it's in the process of selecting the candidates for each party, which is kind of different from what is happening in Thailand. So that would be really good if you can tell us about that.
Okay. So the presidential election is obviously happening right now, and there are currently, preliminary elections leading up to when they will nominate the presidential candidates this summer. So there are caucuses and things like that happening right now, as many of you probably know, because the election is pretty sensational this year. But essentially, the two parties will nominate their candidates this summer, and then the election will happen in November. I don't know, what else are we looking for about this election explanations? No. Yeah. So that's the election process.
So I will just shout instead, because it doesn't seem to work anymore.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we'll just pass it on. And then I think the second question is about people who Muslim or Islam. So just maybe a quick comment on that, because I believe the United States is of course supporting freedom of religion and everything. So maybe Molly, if you
So, for people following American politics, we do have one candidate who's running who's tapping into a lot of xenophobia and hatred and fear among a certain subset of the American population. And unfortunately, that's being channeled in some negative directions. But I think for everyone sitting here, that is not an appealing part of his platform. That is Harvard. So I am a fairly religious person. Growing up, going to high school, I was the most religious person that I knew. None of my other friends went to church. And so it was actually coming to Harvard, which a lot of people see as a very non-religious, welcoming place, where I met some of the people who were the most accepting and the most interested in my life and what made me different and what my beliefs were. So yeah, I guess for me that same respect that I felt from other people I have for all the other religions that I've encountered in my life. I took some time off Sandy. And I served a mission for my church, and so I was talking to people about religion all the time, and I got to learn a lot about, I met with a family often who were Hindu, and I also met with a family that was Muslim, and getting to learn about what they believed and seeing how similar it was to what I believed, and even the things that were different, how much I could respect from what there was that was beautiful and inspiring about their faith.
Any more questions? Next questions? Okay, totally.
Okay, apart from academic, how about non-academic things? I want you guys, who is the king of the party?
I'm actually grandpa. I go to bed at 10 p.m. So I don't know. And actually, I don't let's see. At parties, these are some fun dance moves. Here's one fun. It's not that exciting. Here's some dance moves you can use to impress.
If you guys want to film this, maybe this
No,
will be a good
don't film. We'll be in dance moves. What is that phone? Just phone that comes out. Okay. Okay, I'll say. Okay, there's one. No. Okay, there's one called there's one. Okay. The one. We'll do one. Okay. The one big dance move is the sassy teapot. Okay. It's the sassy teapot. Okay. It's all in the face. Okay. You gotta get the face. You know, it's like tattoos. Molly's got it. Okay. And when the moment hits you, you gotta. Okay. And bounce you. Okay. Oh, wait, look for us. I'm too afraid of Uju videotaping this and distributing it to all our friends. It's too much of a risk, but maybe later in the week they'll make an appearance in the canteen.
Thank you, Shaun.
Also, we have a DJ amongst us, and that's Uju. A hot party playlist. Also, she has original tracks, so ask her to play those for you. They're pretty great.
Any more fun thing? And is it possible for Uju to open? Do you have your track online? If you want to share your fun experience or things you do for fun, your free time. Kylie?
Wait, hidden talents?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. We spend lots of time together, huh? On the weekend, I feel in the houses, as someone was explaining earlier, us from sophomore to seniors, people live in houses. So the houses will plan different events for students. So sometimes the house will go bowling, or sometimes go to a forest for a retreat, and sometimes we learn how to bake. So it is some more time to meet some people who you didn't know before, and who are from different class here, and also who are from different departments, which is faculty here, I think. You guys call it faculty. And I personally prefer to spend more personal times with my best friends. So I spend lots of time with Sandy and Iris on the weekend. We watch movies together, and and we go out to dinners, and lots of people hang out together. So yeah, I feel sometimes we call Harvard people live in Harvard bubble because we spend too much time at Harvard on campus. So that we don't know what's going on in Boston, or we don't get to visit many places in different cities nearby. But I think one of the things I really really enjoy doing is to go to Boston on the weekends with my friends. Go to Chinatown, and we try to eat hot pots, and try eating hot pots and different things, and it's just fun small things.
Thai food is amazing, by the way. We love Thai food.
The Thai food here is amazing. Thai food in Boston is okay.
Any more questions? This is going to be the last question. So yeah, sure.
So since the Bangkok delegates have visited
So one of the things that happens every year at HCAP Harvard is something called Mr. HCAP, where at least one male delegate from every delegation represents their country in a pageant. They have to do a runway walk, they have to show off a talent, and I think, what else do they have to do? They have to answer questions, and model. And so we actually had Tor and He both compete in our pageant. And he was actually one of our runners-up for Mr. HCAP. He was second place and had actually many of the women here have do their hairstyles. You should follow him at Hairdo by He on Instagram. That was one of the big news items from our delegation.
I was going to talk about P2. Yeah. He's a star. Everyone was so impressed.
Someone has a really good lesson on how to get Facebook likes, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
So one of the delegates, I won't mention his name.
His, right? His name.
His name. It rhymes with porn. And he's a little Facebook celebrity, actually. And he has a lot of tips on how to get many likes. On Facebook, there's certain times you have to post at the right time. You have to, he wouldn't let me be in his pictures because when you have people, you have less likes. So it's only him in his pictures. It's a certain time of day, the angles and the captions. You should ask him for tips because he gets over 400 likes on most of his pictures, so he's very famous.
Molly, do you want to add something?
And you have to, he said you have to smile on your pictures. You can't just show the back of your hat because you'll get less likes. And he's sitting somewhere over there.
After hearing all these tips, I decided to put this to the test. So I put a picture up at 8 p.m., which Tor recommended. Oh, sorry, which he recommended. The proper time. And then waited until the next day to tag myself in the photo. And then tag the other person in the photo the next day. And got over 400 likes. So
That's really impressive.
Tor would go out in the snow. Oh, sorry, not his name, sorry. Someone would go out into the snow, stand in the middle of the snow, and then take the picture with no clothes, no jacket. And it was the only week it was actually that cold, so props to him, really.
So, I don't know if you guys have seen Sky. Beautiful. He's gone.
Oh no.
Dang it. Well, it won't be as good then. It won't be as embarrassing to him, but he has a beautiful coat. It is a wonderful coat that a whole flock of animals have gone into. Yeah, well, there's no real story. It's beautiful. I really liked it. Hopefully we can find a picture on Facebook. That would be great.
I think we have the
I met
picture.
him and I commented on his coat. There's a lot of smolder going on in that photo.
That's a really cool picture, though. I think it's in Central Park, right? Yeah, it's in Central Park.
He's dead now.
So he's actually our co-processor. In a way.
What's so bad?
Thai delegates there don't want to embarrass ourselves anymore. Any more questions? This is going to be the last one. If not, okay, Patty.
Apart from academic stuff, so I was just wondering, what is like the one thing that you feel like you want to see in Thailand before you leave?
Okay.
Like you can't leave without seeing personally.
Okay. Each of you are allowed one word, one or two words. Because Hattie asked, like, what are the things you want to see in Thailand or do? So you could put, like, for example, street food or like something. So just a quick answer for all of you.
Well, she said street food, so I'll take that one.
I can't hear that.
Street food.
I want to see an elephant.
Last year, apparently, the delegates had one of those. Oh, just say my words. One of the like fish, but like eating your feet. Yes, and that seems fascinating.
Celeste actually wants a happy ending. I want to see the beaches.
I like some just really like A-grade pad thai. This is my favorite Thai food in the States. I like it in its like natural habitat. That's the right phrase.
I want to be on a one word. Oh, flying banana boat.
Aki Mao, if I leave Aki Mao, please correct me.
Pattaya floating market.
Oh.
Haircut.
Boat market? The boat market? River market?
Yeah,
Floating market. I was going to say floating market, so I'm going to go Thai massage.
Cool. Okay. So I think we had a really fun conversation today, and it's also inspiring, and we've learned a lot from other Harvard students who is here with us. So thank you everyone so much for coming, and I hope to see you again in our academic session next time. And also thank you all the Harvard delegates for being with us today. Thank you.